there is no generalization ki how people approach a lady or a woman. It actually depends on the atmosphere in which you've been brought up. I'll tell you, there's some stereotypes among the men that women are weaker sex, or maybe they're not as good as the men. It is a myth. It is a myth. If at all we have to work on the mental health or in the work of education, it is the men folk. तो घर के लड़कों को पढ़ाओ, घर के लड़कों का दिमाग ठीक करो, लड़कियों को ठीक करने की जरूरत नहीं है. This is what I tell everyone.
Hello everyone, this is Sonali and welcome to my another podcast show. The name of the podcast is Men's Talk Town, and the concept, as you all must have come to know by now, it's about women empowerment through men's view. So here I interview exclusively men from various backgrounds and professions to understand their perspective about women and what do they think or how the communication can be better between a man and a woman to create safe space for women. One more interesting thing here is we also talk about the mental health of men, because many a times that is one area which remains unaddressed majorly. As the series goes forward, I have another eminent personality with me, Col Rajesh Sharma sir. So welcome sir to the show, and it's absolute honor to have you here on the show. And
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thank you very much, Sonali, for inviting me.
So quickly I'm going to introduce sir. You can always get in touch with him on social media. So Col Rajesh Sharma, who is founder of Chaitanya Raj, brings over 20 years of experience helping people overcome fears, phobias, stress, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, sexual dysfunctions, trauma, and psychosomatic disorders. He quit army, shifted base to Mumbai, and actively practiced clinical hypnotherapy through personal consultation sessions and group programs. His clients are a varied range of people, including doctors, corporate professionals, and homemakers, also students. He uses fusion of various hypnotherapy techniques like past life regression, age regression, ego state, behavior modification theory, and a combination of visualization and meditation to reaffirm positive thoughts. I think it's very interesting combination, and we often talk of visualization and meditation. The entire combo together, I'm sure it adds a lot of value. So Col Rajesh Sharma is a postgraduate in clinical hypnosis and till date has conducted more than 1,000 consultation sessions. So that's absolutely wonderful. It's an honor to have you here on the show, sir. Thank you so much. As I've already told the viewers, they can get in touch with you through social media. If you Google, you're going to know more about him, and I'll also share the link. So, sir, please tell us, who are the women in your life? Is always my first question when I ask. So you can always tell, about your personal or professional life as you may want to proceed.
When we talk of my personal life, so the story begins in a sarkari colony,
Okay.
2-room flat. My father was a very, very ordinary post and telegraph government employee living in New Delhi, and my journey started from there. So we were 5 sisters and 2 brothers. Okay.
Oh,
So imagine a childhood, me being the youngest, the apple of all the sisters, So you can imagine how, with what love and compassion I would have received from my sisters, my mother. So this is the beginning. So this beginning also meant that we had limited resources and we had to share. The sisters, the mother, everybody was there. So after my sisters, my teachers, my school teacher, a professor in my college, Dr. Suman Sharma, they all have had great, impression on me, how I've been brought up and how I actually interact with women. And as you brought out, here I have clientele. 90% of the people who come to me are women.
Oh, okay.
So that is mainly because they are more aware about their mental health as well as their physical health.
Sir, so when you say that your clientele is women and as you interact them regularly, So what I'm also trying to understand here is, do they have any concerns of the sort that men usually do not understand what they talk, or how the conversation takes place, because the idea here is how men think about women. So when we say that men have a particular perspective about women, so is it some kind of a stereotype, or how does that come into picture? What do they feel?
Sonali, you have brought up a very, very valid question here, because the people who I will tell you about one recent incident. I have a corporate client, a very, very old corporate client who gives me very good business. A few days back, he came to me and said, "Ki, sir, my wife is not feeling right. I think she needs your help." So I was okay. I'm ready to help anyone. And that lady came to me, and you will be so surprised to know that there was nothing wrong with that lady, with that girl. She was an engineer by profession who shifted base from out of Mumbai to Mumbai only after she got married. She left her job and joined a half-paying firm in Navi Mumbai, which was paying half the salary that she was getting in the other district of Maharashtra. And the complete money was taken by the in-laws and the husband, and she was made to do adjustments in the house where her money was taken away from her. She was not allowed to wear clothes of her own choice.
Nice.
She was made to work in the same office where the husband was working. So, do you think these demands are fair? No, these demands are very, very unfair. So, when I interacted with this girl, I realized there was nothing wrong with her. But what was wrong was it was very difficult for her to cope up with this kind of environment. Till now, she was being pampered by her parents, father, brother, and now she was living in an environment where everybody was, demanding things from her which are inhuman. And the mother-in-law had OCD on top of it. Imagine a girl, an engineer, doing a fantastic job in a very big firm, shifting base and living with a woman who happens to be her mother-in-law with OCD, and husband not understanding or supporting her. And then people come to me and tell me there's something wrong with the lady. So I stood by that lady, and though I had to lose out on the business which was being given by this corporate, I stopped seeing that male client of mine.
Yes, but do you give solutions also, or how do you treat them? Like, how do you take it forward?
See, she was very, very unhappy, obviously. So somebody had to stand with her. Somebody had to give her reassurance that there's nothing wrong with you. And she was feeling very down and out. What I did was I gave her some relaxation techniques. I taught her how to take care of her mental health and how to deal with these people. And now I'm so happy to tell you, then she, with the therapy and the support, she summoned enough courage to tell this family that I am not going to live with you. The same thing, if there was my daughter in her place, I would have done the same thing. Okay, or if you feel differently, you tell me. Do you feel differently?
No, absolutely not. It's not. In this is a situation. I think if you narrate to anyone, the person is going to come up with the same answers. Only the question remains is how to tackle will be the question. But who is right, and also who's right, who's wrong, again it comes up to the perspective. If you ask the male, he's going to say I am right. There's nothing wrong in telling the lady of to behave in a way because she's now married or whatever. They might have their justifications, but again, everyone has their personal life, and it's extremely important to draw the line. So here now it's also becomes very interesting, because you as a male have your that male perspective, and the females have their own perspectives. So what do you think when these generally when men have to talk with females, so do they approach with a mindset, or it's just ego issues, or how does the communication breakdown happens?
Sonali, there is no generalization ki how people approach a lady or a woman. Okay, it actually depends on the atmosphere in which you've been brought up. Like I was the youngest, I had 5 sisters, so I knew how to interact with ladies, and I'm sure most of the people in defense background, the people who have been brought up well, they know how to talk to ladies, how to behave with them. But then people under different kind of perceptions may feel otherwise and act differently. I'll tell you, when I was young, though, as at the cost of repetition, I'm telling you again, we had limited resources, you know? But the school that we all went to, the colony in which we lived, all of us played together. Our parents, it was a blessing that our parents never interfered in what we studied, where we went. Okay, the only thing that they ensured was the environment in which we were living was happy. The question that you're asking is how men approach women. See, I have a background of army, and you yourself are from defense forces. I'll tell you about a very small incident. There was a young lieutenant who had come to one of the workshops. This happened when I was a major, and this young engineer came to this unit, and I realized when she is talking to people, she at times was becoming uncomfortable because not everybody listens to a lady officer as intently as they listen to male counterparts. Once I asked her, Manika, do you feel any challenges while these men interact with you? Do you think you are given less respect than your male counterpart or any other senior officer? So she said the answer she gave me was, sir, I'm yet to learn the ropes. When I learn the work, of course the finer details will come to me eventually when I have enough experience. But once I am good in my work, they will listen to me. After 3 or 4 days, I saw her lying down under that time we had 3 tons and 1 ton big truck. She was lying under a truck, because the truck had come to that workshop and inspecting the vehicle herself. And right beside her was lying her vehicle mechanic and her JCO Subedar Saab. And the way we saw her transformation within a span of 4-5 months, she was a different personality. She proved herself. She learned while working. You will have to command the respect. And the same people who were finding difficult to follow her orders were ready to do anything that she demanded. Yes. Another example is, during our senior years, one of the senior lieutenant colonel, a lady who was working with us, she was so good in all the procedures that people would vouch. People will say कि यार उसने यदि बोला है procedure के बारे में तो पत्थर की लकीर है, ऐसा ही है. She was so good. Okay. Well, I have seen both versions of these ladies. कि शुरू में I have seen people not listening to them, and then I have seen people transformation in their personality, and then there's a total shift in the people's response to these personalities.
So I want to ask you here is, in the first scenario, do you always feel that the lady has to prove herself particularly every time, everywhere? Or it's not like that? Because generally it comes easier for men, or even if they have lesser of that work knowledge, if you also join as a fresher, you may not be that experienced. Or it's because of the environment or something, because always we hear this thing कि हमें तो double proof करना पड़ता है, हमें और ज़्यादा. So can you throw some light on this, like how men think and how this thing happens?
I'll tell you, there's some stereotypes among the men that women are weaker sex, or maybe they're not as good as the men. It is a myth. Okay, because most of the people have this mindset, menfolk. Some of the menfolk have this mindset. So for them, ladies have to prove themselves. Otherwise, if frankly speaking, if you go to a multinational, their situation would be different. But if you go to a rural area, or if you interact with people, a workforce which is less educated, which has where basic education is less, there they may not understand. They will think that the ladies may not be very intelligent, or maybe may belong to a weaker sex, but this is not so.
Sir, I personally, I just have I can I'll beg to differ a bit over this, in the sense that maybe in even in corporate or everywhere, it's not only about rural areas. So I want to understand. It's not that in corporate they are not looked down upon, or they are not harassed, or they are not they don't face challenges. Maybe the percentage might vary,
Oh
but
yes,
this do happen that they have to keep proving themselves a lot. So what is the mentality behind this? Do the about the men folk? Is it like
I agree about people working in multinationals. See, even if a person works in a multinational, but the background is from rural areas only. Okay, वो mindset जो है, he has
mindset?
वो
Yes,
that person can be MBA from the swankiest of the universities, but the things that he has learned from his family, it comes from rural India only. Reality तो यही है ना सुनैले, कि 75 साल पहले तक भी हम सब लोग गुलामी थे ना. Though we might say कि हमने इतने बिलियन डॉलर्स की हमने इकोनॉमी बना ली है, रियलिटी तो
true.
यही है ना. 75 साल पहले we were slaves, we were colony of British India. So 75 years may not be enough to, bring this shift in their mentality. Of course, the shift would come. You are absolutely right when you say that people working in corporate, ladies working in corporate have to prove themselves as much as a girl who's recently joined in a government office somewhere in the capacity of a clerk. She will also have to do the same. The degrees may vary, but proof करने जब
Yes,
होगी
intensity.
तभी होगा. That is absolutely spot on. Your observation is absolutely right.
Right. And sir, like what do you think about this men's mental health, or the way they think? So how can you? I just want your insight on this.
You are absolutely right. If at all we have to work on the mental health or in the work of education, it is the men folk. तो घर के लड़कों को पढ़ाओ, घर के लड़कों का दिमाग ठीक करो, लड़कियों को ठीक करने की जरूरत नहीं है. This is what I tell everyone. See, the government says कि if you educate one girl in a house, the complete family will become educated in times to come. एक लड़के को समझा के पढ़ा के उतना फायदा नहीं होता जितना एक लड़की को पढ़ाकर होता है. But when it comes to mental health, when it comes to infusing correct teachings, when it comes to infuse correct upbringing, it is the boys, it is the men who need to be told. So luckily, we went to army where there's a tradition to respecting ladies, to the women. I've been fortunate. So, but the ladies, when they interact with men, so his background, his education, they all come into play.
So are there any pointers you would like to mention to men specifically while they are dealing with women, or they are thinking or conversing? So in that way, what they can keep in mind is my question.
What I would recommend or request or implore is be respectful. Do not take women as weaker or lesser intelligent, because one thing that you would learn from women is that they never give up. They are so hardworking. Imagine if you go to a rural area where there's a factory in which BD or cigarettes are being made. They prefer ladies working there. Why? Because they work hard, they take lesser breaks.
Yes.
Because they have to
Yes.
bring up family. Okay. And on top of that, they pay them lesser. For the same job in a corporate, I'm so sorry to say that. It actually pains me to say that. For a same job, I've seen ladies getting lesser salary than their counterparts who are men. So this mindset has to change from the top.
Sir, it's not only I would say not only in the BD factory, but right till celebrities this happens.
I'm
Because
telling you the same thing.
yes.
The action hero or the heroes
Yes.
get, I don't know how many times more than their female counterparts. But then maybe there they have a reason to say that the crowd puller is a hero. In companies, so there is no crowd puller. In companies, so it is work. It is the productivity, right? If we are talking about the quality of work and what we are producing is at par with what is best in market, then why not the salary also be the best at par with people who are getting very well paid?
Absolutely. What you are saying is very true. But now when we see outside, like maybe the things are a bit changing and people are accepting probably, though it's a journey and things are going to take time. So why also one more question that comes to my mind is that why do men have this strong ego sense, because they feel hurt very easily when things are not done their way, and many a times these crimes are committed, or maybe in offices people take it on ego. So is there a way where men can understand that not every time it's going to be that way? So I mean, I can what I'm trying to say is maybe the anger level or the understanding level, is it very crude still in men, or how is it?
I'll tell you the roots of this question lie in psychological theories. Okay, I would quote Sigmund Freud. The Sigmund Freud is a very famous. He's
Yes.
called the father of psychoanalytical approach in dealing with all behavior issues. When I say psychoanalytical, he analyzes what is the root cause. So what he has come up with is the childhood traumas, childhood problems are the main cause of behavioral or adjustment issues in men or women both. Now when we say men, wherever we live, whether it is India or anywhere else, it is a male dominated society. And the child who comes in a house, newborn, if he happens to be a boy, so for his mother's attention, he is competing with his father. And father being a stereotype, would never understand it. So at the first instance, you will see so many men hitting their young boys and being very, very strict with them. This thing does not help them actually. They need to understand that the young boy is only competing for her mother's attention. If the mother and father understand this and pay full attention, this aggression will be dealt at a very young age. To be aware, I pray to the God that the days come when these things are taught in school at an elementary level. Okay, so that there's a paradigm shift in the approach towards dealing boys and girls, especially boys in their childhood. Okay. And likewise, it is for the girls. They are also competing for their father's attention, okay, with their mothers. But the thing is, they're being a little not so aggressive because of their gender. They understand it at a very early age because they have to deal with their sexuality, with the changes. The changes in a girl's body are faster than a boy's the body. So she understands at a very young age, 11, 12 years, how she should be behaving because there are so many people watching her. But unfortunately, this is not so in case of boys. There is not much change in their physical appearance, the hormonal changes. But what he is thinking, that has to be addressed. That has to be addressed by none other than the fathers and mothers. Teachers will come at a much later stage.
Right. I think this is a very beautiful point that you have brought out. Absolutely wonderful, because one is taking it to the school level, the teachings, and awareness, because we just end up blaming a man or a person without knowing the background also. So you never know the upbringing, their parents, the background or their parents' behavior or whatever might have affected. So when these things come from childhood, I think it helps. So that's really been wonderful. And coming towards our closing question, I would like to know that is there any specific point which you want to tell men regarding their behavior towards women in a workspace especially, or any other points you want to share? I mean, it's absolutely up to you. Something you want to share about it, which can help, to create a safer co-working space.
Not only men, I would have some points to tell women also.
Please.
Girls also, ladies also.
Please.
To start with ladies, I will say first thing, be assertive. You have worked very hard for wherever you are. Okay, be independent. Of course, the God has bestowed all the ladies with the compassion. The only thing, the thing which I've learned from my mother, from my teachers, my sisters, and the people I work with, is the first thing is compassion and how committed they are to work. At times, the intelligence may level in some girls or boys may be lesser, but girls will always make up with continue hard work. You will find girls passing more in 10th standard and 12th standard. Every year, this data will come in TV in newspapers कि so many girls have passed compared to boys. Okay, it is not that कि girls have got greater brains and boys have got lesser brains. It is just that girls are very very hardworking, and this thing continues. Imagine a lady going to office after feeding her son, after feeding her husband, making their tiffins, seeing them off to their office, and then going to office, then coming back home, again preparing dinner for them, and again doing their family duties. If you compare to men, see her level of commitment or her level of efforts is almost double. Okay, so when you're doing so much, become assertive. Okay, when this assertiveness will come when you are financially independent, when you learn,
Yes.
when you understand your own value. If you start valuing yourself, of course there will be change in the attitude of the men in your life. And when you raise your boys, raise them with correct teachings, correct education. Okay, what I just mentioned, educate your husbands also. Then you will slowly see this change happening in them. And as for men, I would tell them, when you look at a girl working in your office, understand what she would have gone through. What if your own mother or sister was in the same place? Would you behave in the same manner? I am saying this because I have a daughter who's working. I never stopped her from doing, like my parents never interrupted me from doing anything. I do the same thing with my kids, whether son or daughter. They both are working independently in different cities. Saying I would tell other parents also, give them freedom. Okay, give your daughters freedom, give your sons freedom, give them an environment in which they learn equality, in which they learn to respect other people's, other persons' limitations, other person's characteristic. Okay, if you understand why a person is like this, you will not have problem with it.
Absolutely, very well said, sir. I mean, a lot of pointers you have brought out, which I think people will benefit from listening, and I hope they implement it, because these are very good points that you mentioned about families, especially parents, and upbringing, and regarding men behaving in a certain manner. So truly thankful for sharing your views on the show and bringing in your expertise to address different issues. Absolute honor, sir. Thank you so much for
It was honor being on the show, Sonali.
being on the show.
And I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for giving me this platform to address a very, very relevant issue. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.